What's a terrible addiction that no one really mentions? When I was a kid, every trip to Grandma's house felt like stepping into a world of wonder, a place where the ordinary melted away into a kaleidoscope of colors, sounds, and smells. It was a haven filled with everything that defined my childhood, a treasure trove that awaited me with every visit. The first thing that greeted you at Grandma's was her collection of shopping channel finds, a dazzling display of the latest gadgets and gizmos that were as fascinating as they were impractical. I remember the excitement of walking into her living room, where a 40-inch plasma TV, an absolute marvel at the time, took center stage. She had paid a whopping $10K for it, right at the dawn of HD technology, convinced that it would change the way she experienced her favorite shows. Yet, bless her heart, on most days, she struggled to make out the fuzzy edges of 480p. But to Grandma, it didn't matter. She was a pioneer in her own right, a trailblazer of the technological age in our family. "Look at this," she'd exclaim, pointing at the TV as if it were a modern art piece. "Isn't it beautiful?" And I'd smile, not quite understanding what made it beautiful, but relishing the enthusiasm in her voice. Grandma had an infectious spirit, one that turned the mundane into something extraordinary. Every commercial for the latest vacuum cleaner or kitchen gadget sparked a conversation, a giggle, or a story from her past. Grandma also had a flair for the dramatic. I could see her settling down with her knitting, those long needles clicking together like a metronome, as she narrated the latest saga of her shopping conquests. "Did you know I got a 3-piece knife set for just $19.99? It's a steal," she'd say, her eyes sparkling with pride. I often wondered if she realized that her excitement was worth more than any discount she could find. Then there were the adventures in town, which were legendary in their own right. If you were going out with Grandma, you had to prepare yourself for a culinary experience. "No lunch for you today, kiddo," she would say with a mischievous grin. "We're hitting the steakhouse tonight." And oh, what a treat it was. We'd walk into that place, and the aroma of sizzling steaks would wrap around us like a warm hug. I'd watch her, eyes glinting, as she ordered her favorite, a perfectly cooked filet mignon, medium rare, with a side of garlic mashed potatoes. I'd sit across from her, my mouth watering in anticipation, the rich flavors dancing in my mind. And it wasn't just the steak, it was the experience, the atmosphere, and the feeling of being in her company. We'd share stories over dinner, laughing and enjoying each other's company, as if the world outside ceased to exist. After dinner, we had a ritual that I cherished, stopping by the local toy store on the way home. The thrill of hunting for Pokémon cards was exhilarating, our faces pressed against the glass displays as we surveyed the treasures within. "What do you want this time?" Grandma would ask, and I'd point to a pack, excitement bubbling inside me. Sometimes, she'd surprise me with a few extra dollars, allowing me to choose something special. The toy store was a haven of nostalgia. Rows of action figures, board games, and video games lined the shelves, each beckoning for attention. And there they were, the iconic Nintendo 64 and PlayStation 2 games, glimmering under the fluorescent lights like precious gems. Grandma understood what these games meant to me. They were more than just entertainment. They were the heart of my childhood, where friends came together, laughter filled the air, and memories were forged. Rock Band 2 was the crown jewel of my collection that Christmas, a gift that changed everything for my brother and me. It wasn't just a game, it was a gateway to our musical journey. We spent hours strumming guitars, banging on drums, and belting out tunes. Grandma watched us with pride, her laughter echoing through the house as we attempted to harmonize, sometimes beautifully, often hilariously off-key. "Look at my little musicians," she'd say, her face beaming with joy. In those moments, I felt like a rock star, with the world as my audience. It wasn't just about the game, it was the connection we shared, the memories we created, and the love that filled the room. As I reflect on those years, I realize it wasn't just about the material things. Sure, the shopping channel items and the latest gadgets were fun, but the real treasure was Grandma herself. She had this unique ability to turn the simplest moments into something unforgettable. Every visit was a new adventure, a chance to explore, laugh, and love. Even now, I can still hear her voice in my mind, filled with enthusiasm and warmth. "Did you see that?" she'd say, her eyes wide with excitement, and I'd smile, knowing she was always there, weaving magic into our lives. Grandma taught me so much about living in the moment. She showed me that joy can be found in the simplest of things, like a new toy or a delicious meal shared with loved ones. The laughter, the stories, and the memories are what made those visits special. And as I look back, I realize those moments are what shaped me, what turned me into the person I am today. Grandma was my guide, my cheerleader, and my friend. Her love was like a warm blanket, wrapping around me, reminding me that no matter what, family is everything. So here's to Grandma, the woman who turned ordinary days into extraordinary adventures, the one who filled my childhood with laughter, love, and unforgettable memories. I may have grown up, but the spirit of those times lives on in my heart. Then, key you, Grandma, for everything. I love you. I have a second story. I don't see my wife and me getting divorced over this, but I can feel it slowly eating away at me, each dollar spent adding another layer of stress to my life. It's like a constant weight on my chest, pressing down harder with every shopping trip. We make almost $200,000 a year combined, a sum that sounds impressive on paper, but when I look at our bank statements, it feels like we're living paycheck to paycheck. We can't even afford to buy a house, and I can't help but think that the reason lies in the endless stream of unnecessary expenses. Every time my wife goes to the store, it's like she's on a mission to buy a new toy for our daughters. I get it, she wants to make them happy, but does she realize how much that adds up? A toy here, a trinket there. It costs us literally hundreds of dollars a year. I try to keep track, but it feels futile, like trying to catch water with my bare hands. Take the bath bombs, for instance. We've allocated $30 a month for those. You'd think that would be enough, but somehow it's just the tip of the iceberg. Every month I watch as she fills the cart with colorful bath bombs and fancy shampoos, while the 4 bottles we already have sit unused on the bathroom shelf. What's wrong with using the old ones first? I ask, but I know better than to push too hard. If I do, it turns into a fight, and suddenly I'm the one being accused of being wasteful. The irony isn't lost on me. I'm the one trying to be responsible, yet I end up feeling like the villain in this story. People tell me to chill out, to relax a little. It's okay to treat yourself occasionally, they say. And I agree to an extent. But that's the thing, she treats herself constantly. Every trip to the store is a mini shopping spree, and I'm left wondering when it became normal to spend money without a second thought. Our annual Amazon spending is around $10,000. 10,000. It's mind-boggling. She claims it's just the yogurt and fruit pouches for the kids, but I can see the truth in the receipts. It's not just the essentials. It's the $200 spent every holiday on gift bags for my kids' classmates. It's the 3 different costumes my kids wear for Halloween. Why do we need that many? It's the 3rd pair of flip-flops in a year, the boots my daughter wore once, and the endless supply of slime she buys. And don't get me started on the slime. She buys it, gets mad when they play with it because it makes a mess, and then it sits there, forgotten. It's the 3 different sets of headphones that are all subpar because she never researches what she's buying, leaving us with a pile of old broken ones we can't seem to part with. I look in the pantry and it's full of snacks the kids need, but we end up throwing away expired chips and crackers each month. It's ridiculous. It takes years for that stuff to go bad. And it's not just food, it's the 30-pack of glue sticks we never use, the 4th set of markers we bought because the last ones ran out, and the science and art projects that never even get started. The 20 sets of crayons? Yeah, those too. And let's not forget about the 40 Yeti knockoffs we've bought over the years, each one recalled for lead. Every time I tally it all up in my head, I can't help but feel overwhelmed. $10,000 spent on things we don't need. I used to live off $10,000 a year, and now it's incomprehensible to me how someone can spend that kind of money on garbage. It's a hard pill to swallow. I don't want to be the bad guy here. I want my kids to enjoy life. But I feel like I'm drowning in this sea of consumerism. I can't comprehend how my wife can look at our spending and think it's normal. Some nights, I lie awake staring at the ceiling, my mind racing with numbers and bills, while she sleeps soundly beside me. I want to communicate, to find a solution, but every attempt feels like a battle. She doesn't see my point of view, and I don't know how to make her understand. We used to dream about owning a home, about stability and a future for our daughters, but those dreams feel like they're slipping further away. I wanted to create a foundation for our kids, a safe and nurturing environment, where they can thrive. But with every extravagant purchase, those dreams feel less attainable. So, what do? I try to pick my battles, to save where I can, and to gently remind her of our goals. I hope that one day she'll see the bigger picture. I don't want to lose her over this, but I can feel the strain of our financial situation creeping into our relationship. The thought of being the bad guy in this story terrifies me, but the stress of it all is killing me inside. I love my wife, and I want to support her, but I also want us to build a life together that we can be proud of. I just hope we can find a way back to that shared dream before it's too late.